Moving along.
Let's meet Peggy Hubley and Tom Jamin.
The two Valemountonians biked from Prince Rupert to Alaska.
Reporter Carrie Scherer spoke to them earlier this week.
Hi, Peggy. Hi, Tom. Thanks
Hello.
for coming in. So we wanted to find out about your trip to Alaska that you took this summer on your bicycles.
I've always wanted to go to the Yukon to see the North, so we tried with bicycles. We drove up to Terrace, parked the truck, then we rode the bikes east to Kitwanga.
What was the longest stretch that you went without running into any kind of civilization? Or
For terms of a real grocery store, like between Watson Lake and Whitehorse, that's what, 500 kilometers nearly? And there's no grocery store in those 500 kilometers.
Mm-hmm. How much gear did you usually carry with you? What was the weight?
Oh, I'd say I'm around 50 pounds.
Yeah, we're probably 50 pounds each.
Any weather issues?
It's super hot. The one natural thing that it was good that we missed that big forest fire in the Cassiar started.
Right. Any wildlife issues? Any run-ins with wildlife that were?
Like you saw, what, six bears?
I counted 6 bears, but one of the amusements of bike tours is you're riding along, so you're looking in the ditches as to what's there. I mean, because like as we came out of Terrace, very quickly all the takeout cups and bags disappeared, and then just as we were coming close to Watson Lake, a Taco Bell bag appeared in the ditch, and we were like, "Oh my God, there must be like
There's fast food.
there must be a fast food place in Watson Lake." And you haven't seen anything like that for over a week and a half. So you're like, "Wow, civilization is returning." But it was one mystery that we had, though. We got to Watson Lake and there was no Taco Bell.
Lots of footprints in the northern part of the Cassiar are just trampled with moose and deer.
Is that right?
Yeah, they follow the highway right along the edge, so you're watching
It's just trampled.
Yeah.
So, a moose, you'd follow a moose track for kilometers and kilometers before they'd run off the highway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like on a lot of trips, like, the summer we went to Spain, like there's lots of things to stop for. There's a town here and there, but, when you're biking in northern BC or the Yukon, there's not a lot of stops you have to make, so you can put in a lot of kilometers during the day.
Yeah.
Anything that surprised you that you weren't expecting?
The heat, for one. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that we're that far north and it's this hot.
And it's so late in the evening and you're still being killed by the sun. Like, it's really hot, like 30 degrees, and it's like, it's 9 o'clock and you're just hoping, that the sun will not set still for another 3 or 4 hours. You're like, I was surprised about the bugs. Like,
I was going to ask you about that.
I'd been up there once before, years ago, in my car, and I don't remember so many bugs. And the variety of bugs, like each place, and it wasn't like you saw all the different kind of bugs at once. Usually each place had its specific kind of bug that it was devoted to. So you'd be, so horse flies, or, just flies, or gnats would be another night, but they wouldn't come all at the same time. Or wasps. There was a plague of wasps in the Yukon.
Yeah, the wasp plague.
Yeah, like
it's definitely.
But it was a good summer to be up there. The mosquitoes weren't that bad. Yeah,
so what was the ferry like? The return trip on the ferry? Did you make a lot of stops on the ferry along the way, or just?
Yeah, we did. We took about 3 stops on it. Get off the ferry, because to go from Haines to Prince Rupert is a 3-day ferry trip.
Yeah.
And so we just broke it up. But getting off, stopping, it was neat to see the little towns in there.
As we were getting on the ferry at Juneau, I think there were lots of people getting on. But then I was in the dining area, and I noticed that the place was filling up with people in lots of boxes, and they started pulling out all their stuff, and they started working on all these crafts. Like one lady was weaving one of those Northwest Coast hats out of cedar bark.
Oh, wow.
And they were making endless stuff. So I went over and asked them, and one lady turned out to be the matriarch of the family, and the others were like laughingly say, "Oh yeah, she makes us work all the time. Wherever we are, we have to work." So they were on their way to Cake, and I realized there was a lot of First Nations on the ferry, and I didn't understand why until somebody told me that there was a funeral in Cake. And Cake is a town apparently of about 400 First Nations, and they were all going to this funeral from all over Alaska and the Northwest
Oh,
Territory.
so-
So it was just neat to actually witness that these people were still doing all these cultural crafts that I'd seen at museums, but I never realized people were still making this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We pulled into Cake at around 11:30 at night, where they were headed to, and so it just is a little wharf that the ferry just kind of bumps up against. And they were all walking off, and there was a whole group down below with their drums going and everything else like
really?
that. Quite the gathering.
And singing
all
as
at
they
night.
got off, like a welcoming thing. And we got to Petersburg, and it was like 3:30 in the morning, and nobody was there to greet us. Nobody
No drums.
drummed us off
No
the
drums, no
ferry.
singing.
It was pretty dull. But oh well.
No, that was kind of neat to watch. Petersburg was
imagine.
fun. Really interesting. And then we stopped in Wrangell for a day or two, and there, Wrangell's a logging town, completely different. And in Wrangell, we camped at they had set up a little campground outside the town for cyclists and canoeists and things. And while we met a group of canoers that had come down the Stikine River. And Wrangell is at the mouth of the Stikine. So they were Canadians from Terrace, had canoed all the way down with
Is it
2
right?
kids.
And it was interesting because they put in where we biked across the bridge on the Stikine on the Cassiar. So
Are there places that you went to that you want to go back and revisit, or that?
I would have liked to have stopped on more places on the ferry. Like it
Yeah,
just,
the fair was interesting.
you know, when you go down the ferry from Prince Rupert to Vancouver Island, the towns along there are fairly small. You know what there is left, but you know, from Haines down to Prince Rupert, through the American. It would be the Alaska Panhandle. Is that what they call it? Okay, yeah, those towns are huge and very vibrant. And to think that it takes so long to get there, to get from Haines to Prince Rupert, that's 3 full days and 2 nights to get along there on the ferry. So every time you wanted to get out of these communities, it's quite a time commitment to do it, and expensive. I found it interesting that there's so many Americans in these towns were so big, but along the BC coast, the towns tend to be relatively a lot smaller, even when we can drive to them.
I'd always envisioned that Canada just the coast kind of stops at Prince Rupert, as far as towns and things like that, not realizing that Alaska Panhandle is well populated. It just continues on, all those towns and things. Yeah. And Juneau being the capital, it's big. So that coast is interesting up there.
It is. Yeah.
And the ferry is very interesting too, the way it's laid back.
Any future trips then? Yeah, you planning for next year already, or?
No, we haven't decided next year yet.
And that's Peggy's choice now?
Yeah,
It's her choice.
we'll see what happens. Many choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thanks for coming in and talking about that.
Oh, thank you.
They seem nice.
If they were nice, why would they bicycle to Alaska?
Stand by for an important news flash from Andrew's relatives who don't really believe he runs a television station.
Hi, I'm Michael McCracken. And this is Susie McCracken, and we're here to take over the Valemount Community TV station.
Yes, we are.
Who are you?
I'm Mary McCracken, and I'm related to Andrew, and he is my uncle. So, yeah.
What's the first thing you're going to do after taking over the station?
All cartoons, all the time.
Yes.
Well, I think he just proved he runs a very small television station.